The reason why I joined the police force was it was more or less initially to follow the footsteps of my father, who was a police officer in the Punjab in India, and other relatives also in India. And really I just wanted to follow the footsteps. But in those days, there weren't many, I had hardly seen any ethnic officers at all, and I wasn't sure whether I would be able to. But arriving in this country in 1965, within 5 years, from non-English, I learned enough to join the police cadets in 1970. And really, I always wanted to be a policeman.
My name's Althea Rod, and at the age of 18, when I left school, I was looking for a job with prospects, something that would send me on day release, and a job where I could progress up the ladder, basically. So I joined in October 1976 as a clerk typist. As I progressed, I then became like first line manager, second line manager, finance coordinator, finance officer, and then business manager. And I think the role of business manager actually helped me to achieve my potential, because it sort of, the years I spent with the police, that sort of encompassed everything that I learned and developed, and was able to lead people and have staff who sort of looked up to me and worked for me, which was really fulfilling.
My current role, I'm a police sergeant, currently qualified to inspector, part 1, and I'm a response officer on Birmingham North. I run a team of 15 to 16 officers, and we respond to 999 calls. I still enjoy it after 17 years. I think it's a worthwhile career for anybody to want to join from any community, but especially from communities that wouldn't be attracted to the service. You get a good pension, you meet a lot of people, it's a different job every day, and there are some good people within West Midlands Police that have helped me along the way, and there are some bad people of course, but mostly good.
At this present moment I'm a response officer, which basically deals with the immediate 999 calls. Literally been doing that for the last 16 to 18 years of a 22-year service. Mostly I've been used as an interpreter. So on that aspect it's quite good to have a police officer with different language skills, and it is a bonus to the colleagues who go to scenes, especially domestic violence, where the victim can't speak English, and for the victim as well as the officers it's quite productive to have an ethnic minority officer there who can speak the language. It just breaks down the barriers and it speeds up the process of having to deal with the situation, which is quite sort of a horrendous situation for the victim, rather than get them onto language line, etc., etc.
I have been a response officer, I've been a community support officer, I have been a family protection officer, I've been a trainer, I've been a force trainer, I've been seconded to Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary as a staff officer, I have been a neighbourhood officer, and you know, I've had several roles, and that just shows the autonomy that is the West Midlands Police.
I worked at Belgrave Road Police Station and Acots Green Police Station. I did most of my 10 years at Belgrave Road, and because I'm a people person, I found that my communication skills were good in that area, so I did enjoy dealing with members of the public, which I found was very interesting.
Helping people, I know it sounds very cliche, but genuinely I do enjoy a job that allows me to help people, to go out, put my uniform on, walk about with pride and within my own BME community as well. And more recently, I mentioned the fact that I'm chair of the Black and Asian Police Association. That has been a really good, challenging role that I've undertaken, which has allowed me to help internally to support my colleagues around progression, retention, and also in regards to celebrating our work of BME officers within the organisation.
I'm PC. I joined in April 2001. I've been a response officer, a neighbourhood priority officer, and recently a neighbourhood officer. I remember when I was a probationer, I was based in Sutton Coldfield, and I arrested the local National Front's sort of leader in the area. They were having some issues locally, and I got called every name under the sun by him, and went to court because of it. So it's that was the bad part. I've also received abuse from black people as well because I'm mixed race. So I tend to get it from both sides, but it's just one of the things. I just have to live with it.
I was in a minority as such, and like coming from a mixed school where there was very multicultural to an organization of just English people, it was very strange and very daunting for me. You know, so when the Black and Asian Police Association was set up, it gave others who were coming into the force a kind of stepping stone and somebody and an organization they could go to.
On the whole, my early days was a challenge. I joined the police force is to stay, right? Not to be driven out or any prejudice there was. I fought it. I had a hard time being the first cadet on my own, right, together with another black guy. He left later on, but I wasn't going to leave. So I would say the first few years of my time was very, very difficult. And those days, you know, racism was perhaps a little bit upfront, right? And but I put all that behind of all the good things and the police service. There are so many great people in the force, all right? A vast majority of people are very, very, very nice people, right? And really, you know, as I say, early days of my time was a bit of a challenge.
I'm going to give it a slightly different spin to what prejudice is. It's something that's the sort of the community expect the police to understand their cultural needs, but then the police want the community to understand how they work. So you have in between, and that's where I've basically come stuck in, where if you look at the prejudice from the community side, it exists. And then if you look at the prejudice from the work side, it exists. But I would say that if someone was to say to me, well, you've treated unfairly in that aspect, I would say no. I would say every aspect of prejudice that I've faced has basically been something which has been a misunderstanding. And as an individual, you have to then look at the bigger picture rather than sort of hold your race card up and say, oh, you're being racist. When you need to understand, if someone asks me to learn about the Chinese culture, and I'm not going to get it right 100%, but then if that individual isn't treated fairly because I don't know their culture, am I prejudiced? Am I being racist? Am I being unprofessional to them? It's not. So I have to give the same aspect to other individuals and give them the opportunity to say, well, yeah, but then correct them on the points that they need to be corrected.
I'll give you a funny story. I suppose it looks bad. I remember I was a scale 1 at the time, and I was going for a scale 3 job. And I was going to get this job. This job was mine. My name was on it, and I didn't get it. I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was thinking, well, why? What is it? Because I'm black? Is it what's happening? So I thought I'm gonna take BAPA, everything that was black I'm going to do. And it turns out they appointed a black girl. So, you know, I had to sit back and think, no, it was just me. I just didn't do a very good interview.
Extremely proud of my achievements as an individual police officer, of the achievements of my other black colleagues who collectively worked together to challenge the police service at a time when it took courage in the face of adversity to raise your head above the parapet and really go up against, you know, issues that were difficult. They were difficult to orate. They were difficult to evidence in some cases, difficult to quantify, you know, but we knew it was, for us, it was about doing the right thing. It was about, for me personally, you know, I will take my own view and put that into this. For me, it was about wrong and right. It was the right thing to do.
We have a population of around 2.8 million. 30% of that population is from what we class as the black and minority ethnic communities. Within Birmingham, currently that's 46%. Within the next 5 years, it will be much more than that. The police service, in order to understand those communities, must reflect those communities. So it's no good a particular type of officer going into a particular type of area and not understanding the culture, not understanding the issues and the concerns of those communities. It doesn't help. But if you see an officer that looks a little bit like you, then you can feel a little bit more confident. There is a reality that there is, historically, people feel that there has been disproportionality in treatment, in recruitment, in career progression, but we want to change that. And the only way we can change that is if good officers, good people apply to become police officers. So I would encourage anyone to come into the police service who has the integrity, who wants to serve everybody, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their colour, regardless of their faith or their sexuality. We want you to come in to help us to improve that service. And if you come in and join us, we know that we can improve the service for everybody.
I think the police force as a major public body in the West Midlands should be reflective of the people who are living here. And of course we have a wide range of different people, different cultures, and I'm delighted to say in the new recruitment we've got of 450 officers. The first group that have come through, firstly 30% of women, which is a big change, but 20% of them are also from the Black and Asian communities who are well represented in this area. So I'm really pleased to see that now the officers that we're recruiting are becoming more reflective of the wider population in the area.
Being in the front office, I worked alongside a unit, and them to me were a family. They supported me all the way through my 10 years working in the front office. So we are a family, and even with 24 years I've worked for the police, I found that I have actually built my own family within the organisation.
Somebody is a BME officer, they should maybe be put in areas where there's a large BME community and work with those people, maybe to encourage youngsters to join the police and want to join the police.
It's great, and to see so many BME officers from all sections of community into the police service, to me, I think we're on the right road.
When you have that victim of crime and you can actually go and you can make things better and you can empathise with what they're going through and you can have compassion for people, this is the profession that you need to be in.
Don't listen to everything you hear on media about the negatives of the police service. If you're a challenging individual and you've got motivation and challenges, then the police service is the biggest challenge, and you would be a champion in that aspect if you did join.
BME, Black, Asian and other cultures within the organisation, to me that is a positive step change, and as my personal belief and my personal drive is to ensure that I bring more people into the organisation. I support BME officers within the organisation because I reiterate we need to be involved in order to make a difference, and we have to get involved to be the change that we want to see.
We'll give it our 110%. I think we've got a lot to offer the public, and I think we have to show that we are there to support them.